Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom, to another episode of All Chiefed Up. I'm Steve Williams. I'm here with Mike Williams as usual. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about what our predictions are for the Kansas City Chiefs draft selection come Thursday. Obviously, barring some kind of trade that could come up. Uh, like I've said recently, I don't think anybody should be super surprised if Veach trades away a first round pick. He's done it in the last 2 years with Frank Clark and Orlando Brown Jr. So, I mean, things could happen. There's been a lot of rumors going around. What do you think about it, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's more of a possibility that he does trade picks more than he selects 12 picks. That's a lot. That's a lot to sign.
Yeah.
But I mean, they do want to throw a lot of darts at the board. That's the name of the game. That's how you hit. But I really do believe he's got enough ammunition that he's going to work the boards. And they probably got one, maybe two, maybe three players that if they're within reason of getting them, they'll just dump some picks and go get them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I watched a little bit of Brett Veach at the podium here a few days ago. And of course, you can't take into account a whole lot of what he says because he's not going to give his hand away, of course. But I mean, he kind of had the theme that they were going to take a lot of draft picks and that they were looking at just getting younger and deeper. And he seems to think that they have 95% of their board done already and they know who they like, who they don't. And they're pretty much ready to roll with this thing. So, I mean, if, like I said, barring some kind of trade, they might be taking a lot of picks, or maybe they have plans on trading up. I believe that second round would be a good opportunity for them to trade up into if they don't do it in the first round, just to go ahead and grab some more top 50, top 60 players. So yeah, a lot of possibilities. It's going to be interesting to watch it unfold this week, man. I'm pumped. It's actually here. We've only got about 3, 4 more days till the draft. We're just going to be sitting back, eating some barbecue, and seeing how this thing plays out.
Yeah, like I'm curious how they do their draft board. I seen where Veach said they've only got like 195 players or so, but there's like over 300-400 guys coming out. So I guess they only rank them if they get to like really get into them and do interviews and stuff. So that makes me wonder, like, who do we keep projecting to these guys that they're not even slightly interested in? Like, it's fascinating, to be honest, because
Oh yeah.
with only 195 guys, like, who do you have on that board? Like, are you just completely getting rid of like your top 20, like because you don't think you're going to get them, or
Right.
I don't know how that works, but I'd love to see
Well,
it.
I mean, like we were talking about earlier, I mean, we get to see the tape of the people. We get to see their 40 times, their three cone. We get to see their measurables, and then we get to watch their tape. And so does everybody else in sports media, sports fans, all the scouts and everything else. But a lot that we don't get to see is what makes the decision whether they go on that big board or not. And that's their medical records and the interviews that they do. And we have no idea how that stuff goes.
Yeah, we don't know. That's another. We just spoke about that, and I talked about George Pickens. That's a very popular thing. He rushed back from that ACL injury, so I have no idea how those medicals are, and only teams are going to know. And if his medicals are good, George Pickens could be a top 20 pick if he's got the
Absolutely.
potential to be a number one. But if those medicals aren't good, and you see him slide past Green Bay, and you see him slide past maybe the Titans, or if Brett Veach don't pull the trigger, then there's something going on with that knee and those medicals, and he may slide all the way to us in the second round. But I mean, I happen to believe he's probably okay. It's just one of those things that we don't know for sure, and it makes it tough.
Right. That's a good example of what we're talking about, though. I mean, it very well could be. He could be one of those players. You never know. So, with all that being said, man, I have made my selections. I've went ahead and kind of just finalized it. I did go about it as no trades will take place, which is not very likely. But I went ahead and I just took all the picks for the Kansas City Chiefs and actually finished up my first round full mock as well. And so I've already released on the website my predictions for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you guys can go over to allchiefedup.com, scroll down a little bit. You'll see the story on there. Click it, read it. Yeah, so you can see what I'm predicting for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then later, right before the draft, I'll go ahead and post up my 1 round mock. So just to get started, I'll go ahead and start going through what I think the Chiefs are going to do with these draft picks. So, barring any kind of trades and everything else, I think we go in round 1, pick 29. I have the Chiefs selecting offensive tackle Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. Um, this would be an absolutely beast pick for Kansas City. Getting a guy like that could come right in at right tackle and play with a nasty attitude at a high level. He reminds me a lot of Trey Smith as far as attitude and his play style. Obviously, he's a little bit bigger and he'd be out at the tackle position, but he has that same demeanor. I really do love that about him. And I think that a lot of people are sleeping on an offensive tackle pick in this draft. Everyone's so focused on edge rusher, wide receiver. They just got, tunnel vision right now. And I think that offensive tackle could be something we sneak in and get to go ahead and solidify that offensive line, because we put a lot of effort into getting that offensive line straight last offseason. And we only have one questionable position on that line right now, and that's at right tackle. We still don't know what Lucas Yang's going to do. He's been very injury prone. He's set out for COVID. And when he's been in there, he don't look, like the greatest. He's not bad, but he doesn't look like somebody that you're just, sold on being that right tackle, that solid right tackle. So Trevor Penning would fill that role quite nicely and easily make Kansas City have the top offensive line in the National Football League, in my opinion. So granted, a lot of people don't have Penning fall into 29, and I understand that, but you'll see when I release my first round mock how I think that could happen and how he gets to pick 29. And if he does at that value, I think Veach jumps on it and takes Trevor Penning. If you move on to round 1, pick 30, I think George Pickens from wide receiver from Georgia would be the next selection. A lot of people, there's a lot of smoke about him going to Green Bay, pick 28, maybe even earlier. But I feel like he will still be there. I think he'll come off the board after Treylon Burks, which I think is around the 5th to 6th wide receiver selected. I think he'll come off after that. So I think that the Chiefs will be able to snag George Pickens in round 1 at pick 30. And that would give us that wide receiver that has the potential to be a true number 1 in the league. Like, he has all the intangibles to be a true number 1 wide receiver. And with our wide receiver room looking the way it does, with Juju on a 1-year, McCole Hardman in the final year of his rookie contract, so he's coming up on a contract year, and then MVS, he's only solidified for essentially 2 years on his contract. So I think grabbing a receiver in the first round would be a big move by KC, and that's going to give 5 years to hopefully have a guy in there that get some good chemistry with Mahomes and give us a little longevity at that position, a little bit of stability. Moving on into round 2 at pick 50, I have the Chiefs selecting Nick Bonito, edge rusher from Oklahoma. This might be a little bit of a wish list thing. I know me and Mike had talked about how he's kind of a my guy here at All Chiefed Up, but with good reason. If you read the story on the website, I actually say, yes, I'm aware that he's not the typical Spags defensive end, but Bonito draws Derek Thomas comparisons because of his speed, bend, and knack for getting to the quarterback. And that right there is enough to make me want him on the team. I'm ready to see, some speed on that outside, somebody, just athletic that makes plays. I'm not on, sitting on the bench. I just want to get some athletic guys on the field and make this thing happen, man. And I think Nick Bonito, he was the most productive pass rusher last season in college football. So he's gonna produce. And I think, his athleticism and the way that he really blurs the lines between, an edge rusher and an off-ball linebacker. And that's very valuable in the NFL nowadays to have a guy like that. And I think that would be a great selection. So I do have the Chiefs taking him at pick 50 in the second round. Round 2, pick 62, I have the Chiefs taking Trey McBride, tight end from Colorado State. I'm well aware that he might come off the board a lot earlier than that, but I did study up on a lot of big boards and everything, and I looked at the team needs and what people are taking, and it is possible that Trey McBride will come off the board around that 60 mark. So Chiefs getting him at 62, if he's there and he's available, I think it would be silly not to go ahead and grab him. That would be a steal. That's going to give us our insurance card on Travis Kelce in case injuries come up. Or Kelsey's just, he's getting older. We all love Kelce. He's the best tight end in the National. McBride, he runs crisp routes. He's got good hands. He's got good yak ability. and he is a blocker, man. Like he could run block with the best of them. I mean, like I said on the website, on the article, just think George Kittle, and that's what you're getting with Trey McBride. So have the Chiefs taking him at pick 62. Round 3, pick 94. I have the Chiefs selecting Nick Cross, safety from Maryland. Nick Cross has been my guy at All Chiefed Up since day one. I mean, the guy's athletic ability is through the roof. I mean, he could be the most athletic player in this draft total, like all around. He flies around the field, man. I mean, at the combine, he ran a 4.3440, and that was while weighing in at 212 pounds. So this dude is not small, and he is absolutely blazing. And if you watch a lot of his tape, he has the ability to close in on the ball faster than just about anybody you've ever watched in football. Like it's fun to just watch him play. He has a knack for finding the ball. He looks like he's well studied. He knows where the ball is going to be going a lot of times, and he gets there in a hurry. So I think that he could come in and give us some depth at that safety position because yeah, we just signed Justin Reed, but we do have Juan Thornhill, who still hasn't quite lived up to expectations after his injury. And we don't really have much after those two. So I think that, getting Nick Cross here would be a huge move for the Chiefs. Be great for that defensive back room, just having an athlete like that. And I think it would give us some depth at that position. Also in round 3 at pick 103, I have the Chiefs selecting James Cook, running back from Georgia. So James Cook, like I said in my article, um, if you look at his, scouting report, it's very similar to his brothers, Dalvin Cook. No one's saying that he's the next Dalvin Cook or anything like that, but he offers a lot of the same things. He's just very versatile. Like the guy can run the ball, but he's got really good hands and he catch the ball, man. Like he caught the ball a lot at Georgia. Georgia even lined him up a handful of times out at wideout. He's got good speed. Um, he's very twitchy, can make people miss. I just like what James Cook offers. And I think with the running back room the way it is right now, we have not signed back McKinnon. So right now we're sitting at CEH and Rojo and Derek Gore. And I think that James Cook could fill that room on up and give us a young guy that offers a lot on 3 downs easy. Like he checks that box. We can use him on 3 downs, and he would be somebody that could just go right in there if Clyde were to be injured. And Clyde obviously has an extensive injury history so far, missing 10 games out of his first 2 seasons. So I do like that pick of James Cook at pick 103. Moving on to round 4, pick 121, I have the Chiefs selecting edge rusher Myjai Sanders from Cincinnati. This one's a little controversial just on where he's coming off the board because I do think Myjai Sanders probably has late round 2 to early round 3 talent. So I really don't expect him to be on the board at round 4, but when I studied up on everything, it could happen. He is dropping down boards because of his weight. He's actually fell from 258 down to 228 on his weight. So a lot of people are holding that against him, and he is going down the boards. Granted, the actual NFL teams and scouts might not put that much stock into that because last I read, I think he's even put the weight back on since the combine, but that has been hurting him a little bit. But I mean, he's really long, man. He's like 6'5", huge wingspan. I mean, it's easy for him to wrap up little small ball carriers, and he's very polished. I wrote in my article that I think he might be one of the most well-polished NFL-ready edge rushers. And I wasn't trying to say that he's better than some of the guys up top, but I think as far as just is he NFL ready to go? Could he step on the field and produce today? Yeah, I think Myjai Sanders could do that. And I think he would be reliable. I don't think he'd be anything spectacular, nothing groundbreaking, but I think he could do the job. So I do have the Chiefs taking him at pick 121 in round 4. Also in round 4 at pick 135, I have the Chiefs selecting cornerback Josh Jobe from Alabama. Man, out of all the cornerbacks in the draft, I've kind of fallen in love with 2 of them, and that's Josh Jobe and Cam Taylor-Britt from Nebraska. I love what they both have to offer. Cam Taylor-Britt's more of a thumper. and he's going to hit and play with a high motor, and I love that about him. But Josh Jobe, he's kind of got all of the with that long wingspan. Uh, also, he's a threat. Getting to the quarterback. Like as I wrote, I think that he kind of reminds me of L'Jarius Sneed in that aspect. Like he is a threat getting after the quarterback coming in and blitz. So I do like what Josh Jobe does, and he's probably one of my favorite cornerbacks in this draft. And I have the Chiefs taking him at pick 135. Moving on to round 7, we'll just get through these a little quicker because it's kind of a crapshoot when you get to round 7. And I highly doubt we're going to be taking all 4 of these picks in round 7. But just to get through them, at round 7, pick 233, I do have the Chiefs taking Farrell Jr., defensive insider from LSU. Love Neil Farrell Jr. You've heard us talk about him. His draft stock has fallen. I'm not sure why. I really don't think he'll be in round 7, but I keep seeing it. So if he's there at pick 233 in round 7, take it, Brett Veach. You have to. This guy looks like a monster on the inside. Him inside there with Chris Jones would just be fantastic. I think it would be great. Farrell, he has the ability to just completely overpower an offensive lineman and push him into the backfield. He disrupts run gaps. He's a big guy. And if he's tied up in a block, he's strong. He can reach out and grab a dude with one arm and just slam him to the ground like it's no problem. So if you watch his tape, he's fun to watch. I think he'd be a great pick there. Pick 243 in round 7. I have the Chiefs selecting Jeremiah Moon, linebacker from Florida. Jeremiah Moon is kind of that in-between guy. He started as an edge rusher in Florida, but he wasn't really that great at edge rusher. He was lacking some of the edge rushing skills, and he was lacking a little bit of power, so he's getting pushed around a little bit. So they moved him back into linebacker, and he does have the potential and the traits to develop as a good linebacker in the NFL. But I feel like if they could get some more muscle on this guy, get a little more strength behind him, I think eventually he could get back down into the edge rusher position and be serviceable at that. Round 7, pick 251, I have the Chiefs taking Noah Ellis, defensive insider from Idaho. Just a massive, huge guy, 6'4", 346 pounds. He is just a space eater, man. I mean, he's going to clog up the gaps on the run game. And the same that I was saying with Neil Farrell, he has the ability to really push that pocket. He's just a big guy. He's very powerful, a lot of raw strength. I also like the fact that his dad was a defensive lineman, a Pro Bowl defensive lineman for Detroit, Luther Ellis. So just the pedigree's coming from. I think he's grew up around football and everything like that. So I think he has a good feel for how things go. And I think that there's some potential there with him. Also, last pick in round 7, pick 259, I have the Chiefs selected cornerback Vincent Gray from Michigan. I mean, if you just look at Vincent Gray, he has all the physical traits of an NFL cornerback right now. Like, he looks like he's ready to go. He's good in the run game because he's got size, strength, and good balance. And he's also very good at covering contested catches, like making it a real chore for receivers to get these contested catches with his long arms and his athletic ability. He does have one problem, and that's his top end speed's not that great. So someone could blow by him in a deep route. So it's a possibility that if you ended up using Vincent Gray a lot, you might have to cover that with the scheme a little bit, which is fine because if we get, a Nick Cross in there and he's playing back there, like I said, this guy can close in on the ball like nothing you've ever seen before. So, if you have to cover, top end speed of Vincent Gray with a safety, I think we'd have the players to do so. So I think he could come in and be a very serviceable cornerback. So that is what I have the Chiefs selecting in this year's draft. I personally like the picks. I like each player that I selected. We'll see how it all rolls out, man. But you can, like I said, get on allchiefedup.com. You can go read through all that yourself and know exactly who I picked where and why. So that being said, man, what do you got for us, Mike? You want to go ahead and get through yours?
Yeah, man, I like those picks. I haven't got mine up on the website just yet. I'm working on it now. I'll probably release it this week. I'm also trying to finalize my last board. We got a lot of more draft content coming up soon, so just stick around, check our YouTube for that. We got a lot of stuff coming up, but I'll go ahead and jump into mine. With the premise that Kansas City is going to take every draft pick, it's probably not going to be. So I'd like to give 2 scenarios if they trade up. I believe there's 2 players that the Chiefs could trade up for, and one is edge rusher Jermaine Johnson. If he was to slip somewhere around number 15 to the Eagles, which I don't know if he gets by the Ravens at 14, but if something happens and he does fall to 15, 16, I can see the Chiefs maybe using some capital and coming up to get Johnson. I believe the one wide receiver they would trade up for is not who we think. I don't think it's Jameson Williams. I think you'd have to get into the top 10 to get Jameson when it's all said and done. I believe that the Jets are strongly considering him at number 10. So I believe the guy that I would like and that they may like too is Chris Olave. If he was to fall to 19 or 20, I could see them maybe trying to get up to New England and maybe taking a Chris Olave before the Packers pick. But we're just going to go ahead, and that's my 2 trade scenarios in the first round. If that doesn't happen and we sit and pick, this is what I got going. At number 29, I have George Karlaftis, edge from Purdue, 6'3", 266. George Karlaftis is a guy that like GMs are saying maybe is a top 15 pick, and then there's certain GMs saying he's a second round pick. So we don't know where this guy's going to land. It's possible he does land mid first round, or maybe Dallas or Arizona pulls the trigger on him at like 24, 25, somewhere in that range. But in my scenario, George Karlaftis fell, and I believe he does enough. He's explosive enough. He's strong enough. He's got the intangibles to come in on day one and be a producer. So I think George Karlaftis sitting at 29 would be a great pick. I think he's a Spags guy. He sits the edge. I think that's good. At number 30, it may be a little reach, maybe not. I think this is a guy Veach really likes. I've got Sky Moore, wide receiver, Western Michigan, 5'10", 195. Sky Moore is not Tyreek Hill. Let's just get that out of the way. He's not Tyreek Hill. But Sky Moore has great hands. Sky Moore runs routes very well. And Sky Moore had the second most making people miss. Like, that's how elusive he is. So he does all the things you want to see in our wide receiver room, as Steve alluded to. It's got to get younger. It's got to get more explosive, because after this year, next year, we may not have any of these guys on the roster. I do believe Miko's going to be good enough to be re-signed. I believe he's going to have a good enough year, but it's very possible Juju takes more money and goes elsewhere after this year, and MVS essentially could get cut after this year, next year, if he don't produce. So we'll see. So at number 50, the first pick in the second round, this is another guy that I believe has first round potential. I've even seen him drafted as high as number 16 before. However, when you start looking at big boards and needs and this and that, I don't know if he's gonna like go that high, but he may not go this low either. In this scenario, he was there. I took him. It's a Tyler Smith, tackle out of Tulsa, 6'5", 324. He is a monster. He's a mauler. He may not be NFL ready like right this second, but with 34-inch arms, he can definitely play the right tackle position, and that's an upgrade over Lucas Niang. Is it possible he's probably going to go no later than, the Titans in round 1? Like, he's a perfect fit for the Titans. So if they pass him in round 1, I'd be surprised. But in this particular scenario, he fell. I took him. Yeah, it's probably a little late. This is probably like a dream landing spot, but it is what it is. And it's so hard to predict where these guys are going to go. Like, you can't get like too wrapped up on it. So with that being said, this is another kind of the same thing. At number 62, I took Logan Hall, defensive tackle, Houston, 6'6", 280. They got him lined up as an edge. I tend to think he's probably going to go inside with Jones, and those two are going to make our defensive ends, whoever they are, be it Karlaftis, be it Frank Clark, whoever, even a Bonito like Steve drafted. These guys are going to make them that much better. And when I watch Logan Hall film, he just looks like somebody we would go after. He's skinnier, but he's big. He's athletic. He's fast. He's got a good first step. He's strong. He does get a little too high in leverage. Sometimes he gets pancaked a lot. He gets thrown out of plays, but it is what he is. At this point, it's a game of just throwing darts and seeing who you can develop. And I believe Logan Hall at 62 would be an absolute steal. Could he go at the end of round 1? Yeah, it's a very good possibility. I think maybe even the Bengals at number 31 could take him. So, again, these are just players and spots, and we're just going to guess. At number 94, the first pick in round 3, I have Samare Torre from Nebraska, wide receiver, 6'3", 193. This is a guy that is catching fire right now. Like, he played the East-West game at the end of the year, scored 2 touchdowns. He came on the scene. This dude runs like a 4.4. He's big. He's tall. He gets open. He knows how to win one-on-one and get down the field and catch the ball. He is gaining lots of fire. I just read that he's visited 22 teams out of 30. So I think third round, maybe early. I don't think it is. With that many teams looking at him, this guy could slip into the back end of the second. Third probably is where I'm going to put him. I think he's a big time project player. He come out of Montana, and at Montana he was a monster, and then he transferred to Nebraska. And I just think he's got all the intangibles. He looks like a George Pickens if you don't get George Pickens in the first round. That's what he reminds me of. At 103, I took a linebacker here. I took Brian Asamoah from Oklahoma, 6'1", 228. Brian Asamoah played a little middle linebacker at Oklahoma, but to be honest, he's too fast. He's too good in coverage, too small. And you see how he's turned out. Like, Asamoah, I think, has the potential to be a steal around the 100 pick mark. So moving on, first pick in the fourth round, number 121, I drafted Charlie Kohler, tight end from Iowa State, 6'6", 252. I think he has a lot of Kelsey qualities. The thing I liked about him the most is I watched a bunch of Mic'd Up, and I watched a bunch of his interviews, and the dude is goofy, dude. Like, he reminds me of Travis Kelce's like insane sense of humor and his dumbness. So I feel like he would fit right in with the tight end room. I feel like he's big, he's athletic, he's fast. He played in the Big 12. He's almost essentially a hometown guy at Iowa State. So I think it's a great pick. I think Kelce, anything you can do to preserve the tread on Kelce's tires is what we have to do. At number 135, I took JT Woods, safety out of Baylor, 6'1", 200. He may be the best ball hawk of this entire draft. The more film I watch on him, I actually like him a little. Like Steve said, when it gets to the seventh round, this is a shot in the dark. At 233, I had a selection between Joshua Williams, cornerback out of Fayette State. That's a Division II school, 6'2", 195. He's long, he's big. He may not make it to then. Let's be honest. He could be a round 4, round 5 guy if somebody falls in love with him. His level of competition wasn't super high, so that may cause him to slip. But I think he's got the length, and he's got enough intangibles that he can be coached up. The other guy I was looking at right there was Jaquan McMillan from ECU, the corner. I really like Jaquan McMillan. Again, I felt like if any of those two may get picked earlier than round 7, it was McMillan. So ultimately I took Joshua Williams just for the sake of trying to hit the guy in the right round. Again, probably not going to happen. I'd say Joshua Williams maybe goes round 5 or 6. At 243, I doubled up on corner, and I took Gregory Jr. from Wichita Baptist. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a small school out of Arkansas. Again, another small school corner, 6 foot, 192. He's got long arms. He's got good ball skills. A lot of people don't know about him. Go try to find some film on him. It's impossible. It looks like you're watching a high school team. But he did show up to, one of the all-star games at the end of the year, and he held his own pretty well. Like, he looked pretty good. The Chiefs have been interested. They brought him in for interviews. We know how Veach likes to target these no-name corners at the end of the thing, and he usually hits on them. Let's be honest. So I went with 2 corners there, doubled it up, 2 small school guys. We'll see. At 251, this is kind of a me guy. I went ahead and took another wide receiver just because we've got all these picks. I took Josh Johnson, wide receiver from Tulsa. He's 5'10", 185. He's not overly fast. He's not overly quick, but when you watch him on film, he gets open and he does look fast and he does look quick, and he's a terror for Tulsa. Like, I don't know why he's not getting as much recognition right now. Again, maybe he goes in around 4 or 5 if somebody loves him. I'm not seeing much talk about him. I think he could fall to 6, 7, maybe even undrafted. I like him. I thought it was good value. I took him right there. I think at 5'10", 185, he maybe can work some slot. He's got the potential to play maybe some of the X. And I mean, I don't know. He may never develop into something great, but at the worst, he's a camp body. He's, he's a guy like Garrick Dieter that, don't get me wrong, Dieter doesn't get to see the field very often, but that guy puts in hard work every day in practice and with the scout team and everything else. And he's the reason we succeed. So it takes guys like that, in the 7th round to get winning teams. And so last but not least, at 259, I took a running back. I took Keontae Ingram out of USC, 5'11", 220. He looks a lot like, I've said this time and time again, he looks a lot like Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt, when he come out, was 5'11", 215. He's 5'11", 220. He looks just like him. He has really good field vision. USC did not feed him enough. Like, this dude could have had 1,500 yards easily. USC just refused to hand him the ball. It was really weird. But I believe Keontae Ingram could make an impact. He could get on the team as the 3 or 4 running back. And, again, he may not last this long. He's got a lot of good intangibles. And I've even seen him rated as high as some people's like 9th or 10th best running back. It just depends on who you're talking to. So that's the way I lined it up. There's a lot of decent names, but at the same time, there's a lot of players that maybe like Karlaftis may not fall to us. Tyler Smith may not fall to 50. Logan Hall may not fall to 62. But I think once you get to 94, Samari Torre is a name you need to be watching out for. Brian Asamoah is a name I would watch for. Charlie Kohler, JT Woods. These are all guys the Chiefs have shown interest in. And I believe I've mocked them somewhere around the right spot for them. So it's not overly impressive with a lot of like guys that you just think we're going to come out with. But for some reason, Veach always seems to get guys that we just don't think. It's like Dallas tends to draft based off what everybody thinks Dallas should draft. Like they draft the biggest, flashiest players down the board, and it works. Sometimes Micah Parsons, it works. But Veach always seems to draft those players that like maybe aren't getting a lot of like main hype. And that's why I guess they say, hey, he finds diamonds in the rough. But I think he don't look so much his name or who they played for. He looks as what their film shows. And I believe with this draft, that's what I kind of did. So that about wraps it up. Steve, what do you think about it?
That's pretty good. Let's get some different names on there. So mine's kind of mine. You go through, it's kind of like a who's who of the draft, and then yours, you got some guys in there I haven't seen a whole lot on at all. So I'm excited to go check out some of those guys and see how they are. So we did have one more, which he couldn't be on the show tonight. He had to get to bed, but old Pops, he put in his predictions for the Chiefs as well. I'm going to pull those up. I'm going to read them for you. Just real quick. It looks like he has Kansas City in round 1, taking Devontae Wyatt at pick 29, taking Sky Moore at pick 30. So he matched up with you taking Sky Moore at that pick 30, Mike. So
okay, I like it.
Pretty cool there. I like both of those picks for sure. Pick 50, he has him taking Kyler Gordon. 62, Sam Williams. 94, Channing Tindall. Pick 103, Jelani Woods. 121, Verone McKinley. And 135, Danny Gray. So what do you think about what Pops has predicted for the Chiefs to be taken here?
I really do. I like that Danny Gray pick, actually. Danny Gray is one of those receivers from SMU that if you watch him on film, he's fast. He always seems to make contested catches and get open. He's good after the catch. So I really do like that pick. Who did he take in round 2?
Kyler Gordon and Sam Williams. I love those picks as well. If Kyler Gordon falls that far, he's an athletic freak too.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to pass if he's sitting there at 50. I would snag him as well.
Yeah, if those two players fall, you can't go wrong with either of those. I love Sam Williams, but
Sam Williams produced, man, in the SEC.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pass on him. I also like Jelani Woods. I love the fact that he's 6'7". He runs like a 4.3, 4.40. He could do a lot of things at that tight end position. So that would be an interesting pick as well. Also like his pick for McKinley and Danny Gray. So, I mean, Pop's pretty solid here on his predictions. I like the players that he picked. I like who you picked. And, of course, I like who I picked. So it's pretty solid. But like I said, over on allchiefedup.com, I already have an article posted with my Chiefs predictions. I will be posting a full first-round mock as well, which you'll see come up. Mike's going to go ahead and get his Chiefs predictions and first round mock posted on the site as well. And just for fun, we'll probably go ahead and put up Pop's predictions just so we can all see how they pan out after Thursday. So good stuff. So yeah, I don't see everything going this smooth on Thursday. I think there's going to be some things happen. There's either going to be a trade for, a big name player. Might see something crazy happen before Thursday, or you just might see us moving around the draft a bit with all that draft capital we got. So, yeah, I'm excited to hurry up and see what happens. I mean, it's coming up. Been talking about it for months, and we're right here now, right at the door.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to get going. But yeah, you guys go ahead and go hit up our YouTube. It's at All Chiefed Up. We're getting ready to throw up tons of more draft content this week. We've got We got one coming up tomorrow. We just put up the Bro Schmo mock draft. That is a very fun one. Go check that out.
Oh yeah, we had fun. We did a full first round mock with Bro Schmo. We tackled the AFC. He took on the NFC. It was really fun to do full first round mocks. First time we did that actually. So check that out. And right before that, also posted, we did a Chiefs mock draft with Kylie Manning. That was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, and coming up this week, we got Lauren from She Got Sports. Like, she is hilarious. She's a firecracker. That's gonna be a fun one. And on Tuesday, we got one coming up with Daniel Harms from RGR, and I'm sure you guys know that guy. So yeah, it's gonna be a crazy week. We're gonna try to throw all these videos up before Thursday because we're getting mock draft out. I'm sure you guys are mocked out. We're just all ready for the draft, but you know, you got to do something to pass the time. We got to kill these next 4 days off pretty quick.
Hey man, I mean it's all been fun. I mean, gotta love the offseason, gotta love draft time. So, but we're right here at Mary Draftsmith. So, everybody gonna be getting excited soon. It's gonna be cool to see how it all plays out. Like Mike said, just go to our link tree, check it out. Let's just slash all chiefed up. And that'll show you how to get to our official website, our YouTube, our TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Go follow, subscribe, throw us some likes, share some stuff, get your friends involved, see how many people we can get going on this all chiefed up thing, have some fun with it. Really, it's just for us to chill and talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, man, just like you would with your friend at the bar or something. So we love communicating with you guys. Shoot us some messages, questions, whatever you have. Give us suggestions. I mean, we're open for whatever, man. We're just trying to have some fun with this whole thing, and we appreciate you guys listening and interacting with us online, man. It's all fun.
Yeah, man, it's a good time. I'll see you guys. Catch you guys in the next one.